So Rich Eisen, and I have to cover the half the screen for, obvious reasons, doubled down, in a way, on his Jake Browning could take us to the promised land takes. Interestingly enough, and I had a bad take in my last video, Russell Wilson is better than Jake Browning. I don't know why I said Jake Browning's better than Russell Wilson. I guess the baggage of not dealing with Russell Wilson and his highs and lows, while with Jake Browning, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a very okay performance. Obviously, last Sunday was the outlier, but that's what you're going to get. And emotionally, if the game starts off bad, Jake Browning, he's going to be Jake Browning, okay? You're not going to expect much. But when it's the opposite side, Russell Wilson could start the game amazing and then go awful. Or start the game awful and then go amazing. Or have a great week and then an awful week. So, that's my 2 cents, okay? That's my 2 cents on everything. Anyway, so let's just play this and react to Rich Eisen. The reason why I have this on the screen right here, this image, is because this image is what they're referring to in this video. So, it makes sense.
What do you think about the comparisons of Joe Burrow to Andrew Luck with the injury history and retiring early? And then do you think that the Bengals front office is ruining their own Super Bowl window?
Oh, wow.
How they're not paying players to protect Joe Burrow?
I guess it's that you brought this up the other day, TJ, when Burrow had just been drafted, and then the Bengals had the 5th overall pick, and there was a drawing of him on his behind if they drafted Jamar Chase and not the offensive lineman to protect him. And then there's one where he's now throwing to receiver X, or potentially missing receiver X, because Penei Sewell was there to block for him. There was a drawing, we saw that.
Yeah, I got to find it. It was like a stick figure drawing.
I don't know. To me, it's just and again, I know you don't like it, and you think I'm just trolling you. It's the same thing as we got to trade Micah to shore up the run game. How about doing both? You know what I mean? How about you do both? How about you get Jamar Chase and then you start drafting the hell out of the offensive line, or you find the offensive lineman? And it's not like they haven't tried. It just hasn't worked. And thanks for the call, Noah. Yeah, you have to look at this and say, now Burrow has played 6 years. He's gotten 3 4,000-plus yard seasons and 3 seasons that have been wiped out due to injury.
Yeah.
And the question is, which guy is he, and why is he either one of these guys? And
he could be both guys.
He can be both guys. And he can get back. If Jake Browning can just keep this boat afloat, I'm serious.
I know you are.
If he can just keep the boat afloat, and they did finally at least have a good base of operations in the first 2 games of the season. So you could cough up the 2-0 start this Monday night in Denver, right? Because this is a tall order to go into Denver and beat a Denver team that's lost 2 in a row. They could be 3-0. They're pissed. And so they're 2-2. After that, now let's go 500. So you could go 2 games under 500. You go 500 and get Joe Burrow back in the last month of the season and see what you can do.
Best case.
Yeah. Right. And save this season.
Do you believe that? I mean, really?
I'm going to keep speaking it into existence as much as I possibly can to back my own play right now.
Well, look, I don't like people getting on you online about being wrong.
So I don't care about that.
I'm going to hope you're right.
You know I don't care about that.
Yeah, but I care because you represent...
My invitations to appear on ESPN shows have dried up all of a sudden.
Well, that's what we can't have it, so...
I mean, why are we having this guy on with these bad takes? It's not called bad takes. I call Bad Take. Wouldn't that be a great new show on ESPN?
That's a funny show, though.
Can we do a segment like that?
I am kind of into Bad Take.
Bad Take?
Can we just do that?
All right, so it's kind of weird because the title of this video was that he doubles down on Jake Browning. I guess he does, in a way, double down on Jake Browning. He kind of just says he's not going to go back on his statement that Jake Browning is going to take us to the, at least a 500-plus record. And by that time, you get to the playoffs, you know, Joe Burrow comes back week 14, week 15. You never know what's going to happen. But he's not wrong. At the same time, it's frustrating Because we have drafted offensive linemen. We drafted Jonah Williams. Obviously, Jonah before Joe Burrow, but we have drafted Jonah Williams. Didn't work. Mims, so far, looks like it's working. Cordell Volson did not work. Jackson Carman did not work. We have tried to make drafting offensive linemen, and it hasn't worked. We have tried signing free agent offensive linemen. Look at players like Trent Brown. Did not work. So, this is why I said again, and I think the caller did a good job of reiterating this, that this is why it really does come down to a front office issue, because we have to get better scouts. And I know this offseason, we had 4 scouts before this offseason, and now I think we have 5 or 6. Shout out to that fact. But it comes down to getting, your GM having a good track record of drafting really good players, having the, coaching staff to be able to develop these guys and make these guys into specialized talents. It's more than just, oh, hey, we got to go out there and, we keep drafting the offensive linemen in the first round. They're not working out. Because you don't have the coaching staff / scouting department to find the best players and then develop them into a really good player. I mean, we talked about Frank Pollock for how long? 5 years. And over and over and over again, we were begging the Bengals, get rid of Frank Pollock. It took them 5 years. Who knows? Maybe Jackson Carman could have been better. Maybe Cordell Volson could have been better. Maybe these guys could have been better, if you didn't have Frank Pollock. You had somebody else. But at the end of the day, we had who we had. And that's where I think the front office is really failing Joe. It's not going out there and signing free agents, because they have done that. It's not going out there and, drafting first-round talents or drafting offensive linemen, because they have done that. The problem is first off, evaluating when you do sign free agents, who are the best ones to sign, who are the best players to draft. But it also comes down to just having the guys in there to develop these guys. And again, this is a coaching problem. This is a top-down problem. This is you start at the very top, you work your way down. And the issue with stuff like this is you can't just, oh, well, we're going to go out there and we're going to sign this big-name free agent, right? And we're going to get him and he's going to fix everything. No. This is what we're seeing. We got Dalton Reisner. He didn't fix the situation. Neither did getting rid of Kappa. But when we got Kappa, it didn't fix the situation. We're getting these players, we're signing these pieces, and nothing is changing because it's a fundamental issue. It's not just an issue of, oh, we don't have the bodies on the roster to be successful. We have the bodies on the roster to be successful. The problem is we don't have the coaching staff. We don't have the front office to be able to make these guys successful. And that's really what it comes down to on certain degrees. Now, there is a situation where you could say, well, Joe does take sometimes unnecessary hits. There are occasionally he does that, because I've seen that on Twitter as well, people saying that. But a lot of times, even in those cases, it's because the guy comes in free because the lineman fails to block for Joe, and then it ends up being the sack. So again, it's a frustrating situation. Right now, again, with this line, whoever we get, right? We go out there and get Kirk Cousins. Behind this offensive line, Kirk Cousins is going to get sacked 15 times a game. He's going to be absolutely demolished. It's going to be awful. We get Russell Wilson. It will be awful because he's going to get sacked over and over and over again. He's going to have to force throws. He's going to throw interceptions, and it's just going to be an ugly day. And again, going back to that Vikings game, because I overreacted badly to that Vikings game. I think a lot of people did. But I definitely 100% did for Jake Browning. Jake Browning, yes, he threw a pick six. That sucks, okay? It does. The ball was tipped. He threw a pick six. Outside of that, could I blame Jake a lot in that game? The rest of the game, six fumbles, not one of them was Jake Browning. Cam Grandy fumbled, Jamar Chase fumbled, Chase Brown fumbled, Noah Fant fumbled. I'm missing 2. Samaje Perine fumbled, and I think I'm missing one more. None of that was Jake Browning's fault. But he was under pressure the whole entire game. And again, I'm not sitting here saying Jake Browning's the best quarterback of all time. He's not. And when you compare him to, again, I made a bad, like Rich Otten said, I had a bad take with the Russell Wilson is Jake Browning is better than Russell Wilson. That's not true. Jake Browning is not better than Russell Wilson. But for our sanity, he is. For our sanity, 1,000% he is. Not having to go insanely crazy watching the Bengals. We know what we're going to get with Jake Browning. He's going to be mid. Sunday was an outlier, but he's not going to do anything crazy special. He's going to have one of those games every once in a while that make you look at him and say, wow, this is the guy. But he's not going to do anything that's going to get you to a Super Bowl. But he doesn't have to. He just needs to play for the time period that he needs to play for. And then we bring our real quarterback back, Joe Burrow, and we figure things out. But again, that's one day at a time, one game at a time, and I don't know. I don't even think we're going to get Russell Wilson. Personally speaking, I don't think we're going to. Maybe it is the best move. Maybe I'm incorrect completely. I don't think they're going to get him. What you need to do, and again, we're not going to do this, but the issue is you have to start from the top down. Front office needs to be dismantled. You need to get an actual GM in here. That GM is going to bring his head coach into here. You need him to populate that front office. He needs to work. Again, you need to get an actual GM. I'm not talking about Duke Tobin. I'm not talking about, you're going to get Katie Blackburn's second cousin, fifth removed from a 3-headed marriage or something. No, I'm talking about an actual GM who has a track record, who knows how to draft, who knows what he's doing, and can actually be a GM. You bring him in here, he's going to populate the front office, he's going to bring his head coach, he's going to bring in his coordinators, although I would like to keep Al Golden, to be honest. And then what Mike Brown needs to do, and Katie Blackburn, and I don't know if they'll ever do this, they need to say, we're going to take a step back. We are going to give you guys, the new GM and the head coach and everything, the keys to the kingdom. And we're going to see how it works. And again, this is why you're not just going to get a rando in there, right? Someone who, this guy was so good one time in college or whatever. No, you need an actual good coach. What you need is, you need a Bill Belichick, in all honesty. That's what you need. Because that's kind of how Bill coaches his teams and how he was with the being the coach and GM for the Patriots. Is he runs it just like that, where he comes in, he takes control, he does all that stuff. That's what you need. Maybe you get a Bill Belichick, a GM, and a John Gruden, a head coach. That would be crazy. But, you need someone who has the track record, who knows what they're doing. We got to stop playing patty cake with this crap, because at the end of the day, this is why we are wasting Joe Burrow's career by having this dysfunctional front office, dysfunctional situation. And listen, I was the guy who loved and, always fought everyone for keeping Zach Taylor. I was. But I can't anymore. You can't. Justifiably, you cannot anyone can sit there and say, Zach Taylor's the best coach for this team. Duke Tobin's the best GM for this team. Because they're not. And they have proven now, time after time, that that's the real issue. But again, like I said, I see it all the time. People say, fire Zach Taylor now. Fire him now. After every game we lose. Fire Zach now. Fire Duke now. The problem is, and this goes with a lot of other players as well, you need to have someone to replace him. People all the time say, fire, get rid of this guy, get rid of this guy. The problem is you need someone to replace him. You need someone who's set up, who can come in and be the next guy up, right? And again, for Zach, you could make the argument, put Al Golden as head coach, right? Fire Zach and then make Al Golden head coach. Who's our OC then? Is it Dan Pitcher? I mean, like, how maybe that would work, maybe that wouldn't work. I don't know. There's a lot of what ifs and questions, and it's the same concept with people say, get rid of Orlando Brown. Orlando Brown needs to be cut. He needs to be off this team. Okay, who's your replacement for Orlando Brown? Is it Cody Ford? Is it Jalen Rivers? Is it Matt Lee? Right? So, like, there's always questions you have to ask after, you make, you do something like that. But again, like I said, this is why the Bengals are a multi-billion-dollar company, right? Because they need to answer these questions. They need to figure these questions out. And, I just think they need to take a step back. I think we need someone else to take control of this team and actually ride this team into the sunset and stop riding it into the river, because that's what it feels like. And it's frustrating. But again, like I said, who knows? Who knows at the end of the day what they're going to do? Maybe they trade for Russell Wilson and maybe he works out fine. Obviously, if he does, I'll be very beyond happy. I just want whatever is best for this team. That's really all I want at the end of the day. I just want to see this team win a Super Bowl. I want to see this team successful, and I want to see this team go very far. And the sad part is I feel like there's things that are hindering us and holding us back. So that's my rant.